In this lecture, I'll introduce the Landmark class. The Landmark APIs belong to the Landmark Privilege Group. Landmark here refers to a named location, that is, a position of interest. A landmark store can be regarded as a landmark database. Therefore, functions to search for a landmark with name, category, or bounding box are all provided. Now, let's have a look at the Landmark class in more detail. As I mentioned previously, the Landmark class is a named location. The information saved includes the location description, the location, the address, the last update time, the area, the author, and additional information. The landmark is an object that's temporarily used to get information from the landmark store, or to send data to the landmark store. The Landmark class provides functions to set and get landmark information, such as the address info, author, description, and extra info, to get the ID that's assigned when a landmark is put in the landmark store, and to get the corresponding landmark store and the time when the landmark is registered to the landmark store. The constructor provides options to construct a landmark by copying another landmark, to construct with a name, or to construct with no information. Let me introduce the concept of a landmark store. A landmark store is the landmark database. There are two types of landmark databases, private and public. The private type of landmark store can only be used by the application that created the landmark store. The public type of landmark store can be used by any application. The application that created the public type landmark store can read and write to the landmark store. Other applications can only read from the landmark store. Now, I'll show you some sample code to create a public landmark store. To create a landmark store with a specific name, the Create Landmark Store static function of the landmark store is called. Then, to access the created store, a new landmark store instance is created and constructed with the landmark store name. Now, I'll show you the procedures to add a new landmark to the landmark store. A landmark instance called Aju University is created, and coordinates are specified for the qualified coordinate item. These coordinates are set to the landmark. Then you can add a landmark using the Add Landmark function of Landmark Store. The last parameter is the landmark type. You can specify the type as a predefined string, such as educational_institute, accommodation, business, communication, and so on. Now I'll talk about how to search for a landmark with a coordinate range. Since a landmark search is performed asynchronously, a listener is prepared. Then, the landmark property selector item is prepared. The landmark property selector item is the value used to specify the information to be retrieved from the landmark information. In this sample code, the address and the description are set to true in order to get the address and description. Finally, there is the Search Landmarks function of Landmark Store. The first parameter is the category. The second and the third are the minimum, maximum latitudes. The fourth and the fifth are minimum, maximum longitudes. The sixth is the selector that's been prepared before. The seventh is the listener object. And the last is the search ID for when a value is returned. If any landmarks are found, the onLandmarkSearchResultReceivedN function of the iLandmarkSearchListener object is called. The iEnumerator parameter is used to access the found landmarks sequentially. In this sample code, if the result is fail, the corresponding operation is performed. If the enumerator is null, nothing has been found, and the appropriate operations are performed. And finally, if the search has been performed successfully and the landmark has been found, the landmark pointers are retrieved in sequence, and the corresponding landmark name is printed. Let's look at how to search for a landmark by its name. Basically, the procedure is similar to the previous sample code. First, the listener needs to be created. The search landmarks function of the landmark store class is called with the category and the content to be searched for, which in this case is the name. Additionally, to acquire all the information, null is specified as the selected parameter. Then, the listener is passed and the search ID is acquired. As a result, all landmarks that have the name museum in the sightseeing category are acquired. Alternatively, if null is specified as the name, all the landmarks in the sightseeing category would be acquired. This next sample code shows how to search using a filter. This sample code searches for restaurants within 100 meters of the current location. To get the last reported location, the getLastKnownLocation function is called. Then, the coordinates are acquired from the location. The area is set to 100 meters from the coordinates, and the category and geographic area filter are added to the landmark filter object. Now, the search landmarks function is called with the filter, the current coordinates and the sorting method, and all the landmarks in the food and beverage category are sorted in ascending order of the distance and are returned. Next, the sample code shows how to update or delete the landmarks in the landmark store. Let's have a look at how we can update the landmarks. As I mentioned previously, a landmark is acquired and the description of the landmark is changed. Finally, the update landmark function of the landmark store is called with the updated landmark, and the landmark in the landmark store is updated. To delete a landmark, you can use the delete landmark function. So far, I've explained the landmark store included on the device. You can also access landmarks on the server. The APIs to access landmarks on the server belong to the remote_landmark privilege group. There are two types of landmark stores on the server. The first type is a predefined landmark store. Of course, a predefined landmark store is read only and third-party information is used. The second type is a user-created landmark store and can also be saved on the server. Applications can create and delete landmark stores and add and remove landmarks. As each landmark store is associated with an application ID, all devices running the same application can access the same landmark store.